Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's me, Mitch. Here I am. And there you are. How's everybody this afternoon? Last minute microphone adjustment here. Okay. You'd think with all that countdown that I have, I would have done that. But I just looked down and noticed that it was crooked. I think it still works the same, but it's weird. Just like things to be. I guess that's a mild form of OCD. You can tell that about me when I cook in the kitchen and want to have everything neat and clean as I can. So how's everybody? How's everybody on this Saturday afternoon? I've been reading you guys chatting back and forth. It's good to see that. We're starting off pretty good here. 64 people I see. Good to see you all. Been a eventful week since last Saturday, that's for sure. And it's going to be very hard to avoid politics completely. Unfortunately, it's dominating everything. I mean, everything right now, every conversation, every newscast, every TV show, everything. And I'm just glad we got the conventions out of the way and we can stop listening. And I'm not saying one side or the other. I'm saying that, and most of you know how I lean politically, but I don't try to change anybody's mind. It's not worth it for me. Everybody has to arrive at their own conclusions. Everybody's got their own motives, their own pet agendas that sway the way they vote. And as you know, lately I've been just incredibly, depressingly pessimistic about the future of this country in all things, not just in health and diet. And then this week comes along. And I made a video about it, and a number of other people are making videos about it, and certainly every political commentator is making videos about it. A lot of people in the health space, a lot of us YouTubers talking about healthy eating and the poisoning of America with processed foods, seed oils, grains, sugars, things like that. Incredible rise of chronic disease and what it costs us, not only in money, but in suffering, early death, dementia, all that stuff. And then comes Robert F. Kennedy along, and he's not new at this. He's been at this for a long time. He's been harping on the vaccines for years, but nobody ever took him seriously. My take on all this is that I'm less pessimistic because I'm a realist. I'm less pessimistic. Am I optimistic that things are going to get fixed? Not yet. Not yet. Why am I not optimistic? Because there's too many forces, too much power, too much money, too much political influence, too much media influence behind the status quo, behind the current state of things. And that is pharma and food control virtually every aspect of healthcare in this country. The food makes you sick. Pharma sells you the drugs. And the medical community profits as the middleman. That's corruption. And over the course of my lifetime, watching politics, I have seen so many times where it sounded like we were going to be able to get rid of the corruption and fix things and clean house in our government and make common sense. And it has never happened. Well, it happened a little bit in 2016 to 2020. I felt better in those 4 years than I'd ever felt about the future, about the history of the future of our country. But that lasted 4 years, and the corruption and all that, they figured out how to get it back. And once again, we the people had no say, as we never do, in who's actually controlling this mess, whether it's from within our country or globalist powers, guys named Hans sitting around some board table munching on steaks and lobster, telling the rest of us peons what we have to do. So here comes Robert F. Kennedy, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. Then I'm going to get off onto things that kind of affect our little community here. I was pissed off yesterday afternoon. I was sitting there waiting for his speech because they had been talking about it for days. He's going to drop out of the race. He's going to endorse Trump. I said, wow, that's a positive thing, I think. So I tuned in at 2 o'clock and nothing happened. I waited and waited and waited. Nothing happened. It got to be 2:30, 2:45. I said, oh, shit. He changed his mind. Something bad is happening. I grabbed my camera. I went on and recorded that little rant yesterday afternoon because I just needed to vent. When I got done recording that little rant, I went back out, turned the TV back on, and sure enough, there he was talking. And for any of you, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, that's a speech you should watch. It was 100% truth, in my opinion. The fact that he, being a Kennedy, has forsaken Democrats is akin to Jesus Christ denouncing Christians. I mean, it is the holy grail for these people. That even his own family pretty much disowned him, all the other siblings. And it took guts. It took guts, and he said he was not going to be a spoiler. So he pulled his name on the ballot of every one of the swing states, and he went and endorsed Trump. That takes a certain kind of human being. That takes somebody that has an open mind, isn't so married to their beliefs, that even when those beliefs and the things they believe in aren't what they used to be, they still refuse to change. And our country's full of those kind of people. But I admire him for the guts he has. And I know that he's always been on a health kick. And I have known that he's up on all the nutritional stuff. And I know that he's been talking to Casey and Callie Means and has been studying and learning about chronic illnesses. And he's been talking about them a long time. And in the first part of his speech, before he got to that, he was talking about the convention and the candidates and all that. And then all of a sudden he said that he had three major areas that concerned him. And when he said health, I said, wow, when do you ever hear that in a public political speech? I see we got Mark C. has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much, my friend. And let's see who got them. Kitchen Witch was gifted a membership. Cordelia, Troy Campbell, Joyce B., and Jason Degenstein. Welcome, my friends. You got 30-day membership in the private community, courtesy of Mark C., and it's up to you whether you want to stay in or not. No pressure, but you come to our live stream on Thursday night, see what it's all about. So thank you, Mark, for that, and welcome to those new members. Welcome to those new members. So at any rate, Kennedy starts talking about health, and he starts sounding like a Ken Berry or an Anthony Chafee video. He starts sounding like Nina Teicholz, talking about corruption and talking about conflicts of interest in government agency. I mean, he just went through the gamut of it. The only thing he didn't say a lot of was the word meat. I kept waiting for the word meat. He did talk about fruits and vegetables and whole foods as opposed to processed foods. But he did say words. He did say seed oils. When have you ever heard a politician utter the words seed oils? He did say sugars. He did say grains. And he talked mainly about processed food. He talked about the state of the health, especially among the poor people that rely on all of the government handout programs, food stamps, SNAP, school lunches, the crap that they're being served that gives them a disadvantage. He talked about all of the real problems. He talked about the real cost of these things and how it's crippling our country. And I kind of got, a little bit excited. I said, wow, this is great. First time I've ever heard this conversation brought up in front of the entire country, because I can imagine there was an awful lot of people watching that little speech of his, at least until CNN cut away from it because they didn't like what he was saying. CNN actually turned him off mid-speech. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about our honorable media? God, if that's not enough to piss you off. I will never watch that network, but obviously somebody's still watching it. It's unbelievable. So he went on and made that entire speech, and he went on for 20 minutes or more about all the healthcare stuff, all the stuff that we've been saying for years, all the stuff that we know is true, all the corruption. He started naming off the federal agencies, the FDA, the USDA, all the different government agencies, accused them of corruption, accused them of conflicts of interest, called out the big food and pharmaceutical companies, did all that. Now, that was yesterday. Today, I saw a video from Charlie Kirk. I don't know if you know who he is. And he's got a big following, this guy, and he was talking about this stuff. I saw Lee Kopis put out a video where he kind of reacted positively to the speech. But I said, well, how is this going to really help us? What's going to really happen? Well, it all depends what happens in November. It all depends on who our esteemed fellow Americans decide is the better person, the smarter person, the more honorable person to be in charge of the free world, to be the head of the free world. And I realize that it's close. I realize that the two different candidates are both so eminently qualified in their history and their backgrounds, their knowledge, their intelligence, their priorities, that it's a tough decision. And it's a decision you all have to make. And if you think that I'm being other than facetious now, then you don't know me very well. But I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. But all I can tell you is if some people happen to get into high-level positions in the executive branch of the government, which basically is over all of these different agencies that control all these different things, and this time around, that particular person starts firing people and stops being so nice and giving people the benefit of the doubt, we're going to have maybe not a bloody revolution in this country, but we're going to have a propaganda revolution, because all of these people that are making all of this money and whose lives and careers in the medical community, in the big food companies, in pharma, all these people are going to fight to the death to discredit anybody who says different. So I think that if this public debate keeps up, it's just going to get uglier than we could ever imagine. I'm already seeing news articles. I've seen 2 so far today. BS articles about how the keto diet causes heart disease, strokes, and screws up the digestive tract, from a study out of the United Kingdom of 57 people. No details about the study. We know that's not true. We know it's just the opposite. And then I saw another one here not too long ago that was talking about cholesterol and had everything all wrong. Had everything all wrong there as well. So the propaganda there's going to be an avalanche of this crap. And most people who don't follow these things as closely as we do, don't understand nutrition or the science, which is most of the medical community, they're just going to believe what the guy on CNN tells them. And we're still going to be crazy. But the good thing that comes out about this is this discussion has now been elevated out of just a few absolutely lunatic, crazy, out of their mind YouTubers who tell you to eat meat. It's going to be showing up on the national stage. And whether or not any changes actually get affected, it helps. It helps me. It helps you. It helps you appear less crazy to your doctors, to your family, to the people around you, because now, instead of just deferring to Ken Berry and Anthony Chafee and Sean Baker, you can defer to Robert F. Kennedy, Casey and Kaylee Means, and all of the stuff that's going to be in the public domain that they're talking about. And they've got the facts and they've got the figures. So it's going to make our life, I think, a little bit easier and give us a little credibility that we're not such a small group of fringe lunatics, when in reality, this problem has been recognized at the highest levels of government. Is anything going to change? No. Not in the near future. There are many other priorities of things in this country that need to be fixed. Even though we know that health is one of the most important, it's not going to be a priority on the minds of most Americans. Cost of living, closing the border, jobs, the economy are going to be more important to them. And there is one fact that's even going to take the average American who still has a brain and still has common sense and still can understand reality and turn them into somebody who resists these changes, resists the changes to fix what's wrong with our health. And those are the carb addicts. Those are the carb addicts. Whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, or realize it, this has gone long enough in this country. It is a scheme that's been perpetrated on us. It's been scientifically engineered to addict us all to sugar and carbohydrates, to those foods that have been engineered to the bliss point, to that stuff we can't live without, to the stuff I talk about every day, why people can't succeed on pretty much any diet, because they are like an alcoholic trying to stop drinking, like a heroin user trying to stop heroin. The powers that be won't talk about it or admit it, that it's even a thing, and we talk about that. But here you've got probably 80% of the people in this country are carbohydrate addicts. Just follow them around in a store. Look at their shopping carts. This is not a well-kept secret. Look what they're ordering in restaurants. Look what their kids are eating. Follow them to the morning coffee break with the donuts and all that. Somebody is spending money in all these Dunkin' Donuts, convenience stores, restaurants. And they're not avoiding sugar either. They're out looking for it because they're addicted to it. So now what we have is we have a nation of addicts. The message they're going to start hearing is you need to give up that drug of choice of yours. And their natural human urge, being addicted to this stuff, is going to be to minimize the damage they think it's doing to them, just like an alcoholic thinks that until their liver falls out that they're immortal. They're going to fight like hell, with this not in my backyard type of mentality. It's good for everybody else to quit the sugar, but not me. I just enjoy it too much. It's too big a part of my life and my social life and my entertainment. Spoken like a true addict. And they're going to fight. I think they're going to fight right along with the drug companies and the food companies to keep things just the way they are. So we've got, no matter how you look at it, we've got a battle royal on our hands. And the only positive that I see about it, and the only reason I'm happy, maybe not optimistic, but less pessimistic, let's put it that way, for some kind of change in the future, is that the conversation has been elevated now to where it's on the national news. Not just as some kook, not just one person from our community happens to be interviewed by Tucker Carlson or something. I think Nina Teicholz was interviewed. Was it Tucker Carlson or somebody like that? Those things go nowhere. They went nowhere, changed nobody's mind. Didn't stop a soul from walking through the door of that Dunkin' Donuts and getting a couple of donuts and one of those frappe sugar crap coffee things at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then heading out at 10 again to get another fix because their blood sugar's kind of low from all that sugar they ingested 2 hours before. I don't know how we're ever going to fix that. Honestly, I don't. So we've been trying in our community. We've been sitting around. We've been trying to fix this just one person at a time. And I've got 135 people in here right now. And I would assume most of you have succeeded and are carnivores. It's not a lot of people. but they're my people. They're people that have figured it out, have figured out a way to combat that addiction, are getting healthier. And I'm so glad you're here. I can't imagine how I'd feel if I had 5 million people watching me. Not ever likely to happen. And the main reason that's just not likely to happen is I don't think I'm pretty enough or lovable enough. because I can be cantankerous sometimes. And that's important in this world. Got to be pretty. Got to be pretty. Anyway, that's my take on it. We do have reason to be happy. It's out there now. Use it to help you out. Use it to help you out looking just a little less like a lunatic when you tell people out there what you do and they say, where'd you get that idea? And you can say, didn't you listen to RFK's speech the other night? I've been saying this stuff for years. Finally, some people are catching on. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, but that'll help us. That'll help all of us. Make us feel a little better. Make us feel a little less like lunatics, like outcasts, like crazy people. He talked about how they're raping the soil. He talked about how they shift farm subsidies away from small family farms to the big industrial agricultural firms. The big, and even tobacco companies get big subsidies from the federal government. And the poor little family farmer who's trying to raise a few cows gets nothing but higher taxes and higher bills. At least it was nice to hear that somebody recognizes that this is where we are now. And, I mean, Donald Trump isn't known for having the healthiest diet, but at least he got an earful from RFK, and I hope some of that actually sunk in. All right, that's enough of an opening monologue for me. And let me start saying hello to some people. What do we got here? Turamir was the first one in here. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. And then Michael, United Carnivore from Tampa. Michael's the fellow that I had lunch with at the Brazilian Steakhouse the other day. And Boyd Lamb is in here. How you doing? And Satya Khalsa is here, 9 a.m. in Arizona. Well, now it's afternoon in Arizona, so you guys were here early. Yeah, this is like 12 p.m. So Boyd was Boyd Lamb and then Cliff Medina came in, and these guys are pontificating like they usually do. They're both very political, and that's okay. That's okay. Nick Sheeson, hello. How are you doing? Jerry Vodstush from Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Good to see you. And we have Mama Cracker. How you doing, my friend? And you came in at 10 to 3, so you were getting closer to airtime. And same people chatting back and forth. Woody Ingram, Sun City, Florida. Hi, Woody. How you doing? Other Floridian. Mark C. is here. And again, thank you, Mark, for putting some people into the private community. Very generous of you. Don Schonger's here. Hiya, Don. Good to see you. And Turi, yay, she's here. And we have Stacy Starr says, hello, everyone. Tracy Clark is here. Hi, Mitch. I hope you're having an amazing day. It's not bad. Hasn't rained yet today. I've been busy. Been up since 4:30 this morning. One of my clients whose website that I support had some major problems over the last couple of days, and we finally got them all nailed down and fixed. And they were all the fault of the company that hosts their website, a huge company. Nothing we did, but we finally sleuthed it out and got everything back up and running properly. And this is a utility company, and their website is very, very important. So a lot of sleepless nights the past couple of nights. But I love a challenge and I love troubleshooting. Terry says, cool, cloudy day here in Cali. Windows open, breathing fresh air. Good for you. For all grandmas here, how you doing? What has Tom got to say? Defrosting chicken wings. Funny you should say that, Tom. I just uploaded a video, but I haven't released it yet. It's a cooking video. I'll tell you what it's about. It's kind of cool. You know, I make chicken wings with a panko with the pork rind coating dipped in egg, and I make them in the air fryer. And I rely on the fat in the chicken, because in the air fryer there's no fat. Well, I had, from the last time I made ribs, it had a whole bunch of meat that I actually sliced off to trim down the ribs, and I had all of these thin slabs of pork from the ribs, and I said, you know what? I think that would be good to pork rind crumb up and fry, but I can't do it in the air fryer. There was no fat in that meat, but I can do it in bacon grease. And then I said, I have never tried to make my, quote, breaded, and I used the term loosely because there's no bread involved. I said, I've never just actually fried these breaded wings. I've always just used the air fryer. Now, we're not afraid of fat. In fact, we want to add fat to things. So frying things for a carnivore doesn't have the same unhealthy connotation that it does for most people who think fat is killing you and you can't eat fat. They're on a low-fat diet, which equates to a high-carb diet. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a video. I'm going to make my chicken wings. I'm going to fry them in about a ½ inch of bacon fat in a frying pan. I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to cut these pork into strips, like pork tenders, like chicken tenders. Bread them and throw them in there too. And I made a video about it. And I guess this might be a little spoiler, but they were, and I had them for my first meal today. I ate so much. I'm still full from that first meal, from the chicken wings and the pork tenders. They were the best because they were deep fried. They were the best chicken wings I have ever made in my life, and I've made chicken wings a lot of different ways. Not only were they the best, they were hands down the best. They were so juicy, and they weren't greasy, but God, were they good, and they had plenty of fat in them, and they tasted more like the best wings you get at the best breaded wings that you get at a restaurant. Now, in a restaurant, they put breading on them. Usually they use cornstarch and then breading or a batter, and then they fry them in a seed oil of some kind. And they usually coat them with all kinds of sugar-laden glazes and sauces. These wings that I made today were 100% pure carnivore. I didn't even put salt in anything because the pork rind crumbs have pretty much the exact amount of salt that you need. There was no seasonings, no carbohydrates, just pure bacon fat that I keep collecting in huge quantities from all the bacon and eggs that I eat. And I'm telling you what, it was easy to make. It wasn't a big mess, and it was hands down the best. So I'm telling you this, Tom, because you might want to try that instead of doing them in an air fryer. Take a frying pan, fill it full of bacon grease. 8 minutes is all it takes. You want to go to an internal temperature over 165, but you can go up to 200, it doesn't matter. But just make sure they're well cooked enough. They were cooked perfectly. The meat was not raw was very tender, very juicy, and the pork same way, less than 8 minutes, and from raw to fully cooked. And you could tell when you cut into it that there was no pink, red, or anything. It was completely cooked. It was delicious. Now, so then I said, wow, what an idea. This business of panko coating and deep frying meat opens up a whole new thing. So my next mission is going to be to go out and get some really good cuts of leaner meats that I don't normally eat because there's no fat. But if you're frying them in bacon grease and the pork rind crumbs hold quite a bit of that fat in it, you can eat these better, more tender cuts of meats. So I'm going to make a deep fried mixed grill. I'm going to get myself some pork tenderloin. I love that stuff. It's just no fat in it. I'm going to get some filet mignon. I might get some lamb. But I'm going to get 3 or 4 different kinds. I want to cut them up into strips are about the same size so they cook evenly. And I'm going to do a video about a breaded and fried mixed prime meat mixed grill. And I just think that'll be a fabulous, fabulous meal. So maybe even some white meat chicken in there too, a little chicken tender. I hope you think that's a good idea. Whether you do or not, I'm going to do it because I think it's a good idea and it's my kitchen. So there. So Tom, look at what you started by telling me that you were defrosting some chicken wings. And who else we got here? I think I said hi to Stacy Starr, yeah, and Mama Cracker, Terry, Viking, Terry. We still haven't gotten to 3 o'clock yet. Here we have Long Haul Healing. Nico, how you doing, Nico? Different wings, same bird, wake up people. Laser unfocused, good evening. Good evening to you. And hey, Pedro RC, how you doing, Pedro? Spain, an RC guy, one of the old drone guys. Good to see you. Lee Sweberg here from Denmark. Good to see you. P.O. Henriksen, how you doing, my friend? And who else we got? Danny C. Hi, Danny. How are you? Dan Hamilton is here. Hi, Dan. I'm also depressed about the political landscape. I'm less depressed than I was yesterday. That's all I'm going to say. Discussing politics on this channel to this group of people would be, with the exception of a very few of you, just preaching to the choir. So all I would do would be to lose a few subscribers and have people hate me and gain nothing because I'm not going to change. I am not going to change anybody's mind. That's for sure. I'll leave that to the Steven Crowders and the Charlie Kirks and all of those political guys, Tucker Carlson. I'll leave it to them. Lynn Clow, how you doing? Moorhan from England, how you doing, my friend? Aberbear is here. Good to see you. I love seeing the same names, people I recognize. What does Terry have to say? The thing is, social media is the first form of globalism. We are all hooked into it and trying to keep our heads above water in the meantime. That's true, Terry. Social media is an addiction. It's an addiction. It's not a substance addiction, but an addiction nonetheless. It's a scrolling addiction. It's been described by psychologists and psychiatrists as that. So, and the kids are getting addicted at 2 years old. As soon as they learn which button to push, they're addicts, and you see that everywhere. People are walking around buried in their phone. They may as well be laying in a pod somewhere with tubes in them. They're connected to the matrix. Susan M is here. How you doing? Bob Sack, good to see you. Look at all these different people. Jesse Farmer, how you doing, Jesse? Good afternoon to you too, sir. CB, hey, CB Carmack, Sheriff CB from Alabama. How you doing, my friend? Enjoyed seeing you last Thursday night in the private community. We always have a good time. And Rain Dancer 1980. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Trucking Carnivore. CNN censorship at its best. Yeah, they can't take it, these people. They just can't take it. But I can understand that. I can understand that. When any of them come on and start talking and giving a political speech, how many minutes of it do you think I can tolerate before I have to turn away? Not very many minutes. Usually it's seconds. I have to turn the station on the morning news when they show even a 30-second clip from a speech from these people. I have never heard such drivel and nonsense in my life. And no substance. No substance at all. How do we get here? How did we get so stupid? We're Americans. Where are the patriots in this country anymore? I see a lot of the same names here. I think I'm getting, Aunt B is here. How you doing, B? Good to see you. Karen Haynes, one side cheats big time. Yeah, can't say that stuff. Can't say that stuff on YouTube. That's misinformation. It's against community guidelines. Gotta be it's so absurd. So absurd in a country that's supposed to have free speech. Here we go. Here's another one. Marlita Tuamala. How you doing? The Big River in Wyoming Roundup. Well, that sounds big. Sounds big. Peter's here. Papa Carnivore. How you doing? He's just saying hi to everybody. Good to see you, Peter. Anybody else that I haven't said hi to? If you got questions for me, I may or may not have answers, but if you have questions, something you want to know, something you want to ask me, put it in the chat with 3 capital Qs. Q, Q, Q. Not question mark, but Q, Q, Q. And I'll search them out. And if not, I'll just start looking at the chat, looking for topics, and we'll go off on some of them. God, it's been at this 45 minutes so far. I still have some coffee in here. If you are politically inclined, Charlie Kirk had a great video today, great commentary on RFK's speech last night. If you want to watch that, here we go. Here's Linda Price, QQQ. Many Americans are going to be more concerned about eating tomorrow, not really what they are eating. Fixing that is more a priority currently. Hope everyone is well. Yeah, I don't think many people who saw that speech yesterday really understood, because they don't even know what the term seed oils actually mean. They're just not knowledgeable. When our doctors aren't knowledgeable about nutrition, how can we expect somebody that doesn't just live on YouTube in our space, listening to scientists, listening to people that have studied this, that know what the studies actually show? How can they know what a seed oil is, how harmful a grain is. How can they understand why they have diabetes? How can they understand? They don't. Nobody in their sphere is talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Certainly not their doctors. Their doctors just upping their insulin prescription every time they go in and telling them to eat carbohydrates and counter it with insulin. That's how you manage diabetes. You can't just not eat carbohydrates. No, you have to eat the carbohydrates and then figure out the exact dose of insulin you need to counter those carbohydrates. And as your system gets worse and you become more and more insulin resistant, then you just come in here every 6 months and we'll just keep increasing your insulin dose until your feet fall off. But unfortunately, that's what you're stuck with, because everybody knows that you cannot cure diabetes. Once you got it, you're stuck with it. Well, nobody told us. So we're reversing diabetes left, right, and center with real people and real stories and real numbers and real blood tests. But we're crazy, obviously. That's not really happening. That's not really, we're imagining. We're just imagining it. And that's the state of it all right now. Carolyn loves Elvis forever. The carb addiction goes away very quickly once you turn carnivore. Within 30 days, it'll reduce like 90%. It'll become manageable. It'll still be there. Once you get to about 6 months to a year, at least this is my experience. Yeah, it almost goes away. Once you get to 2 years, it's gone. It's gone. But I have no doubt that if I sat down with a pint of ice cream and a bag of blueberries, it would come back in a minute. Just like an alcoholic. They can get to the point after a couple of years where they don't think about alcohol very often. But take that first drink and they're right off the wagon and binging again. And I'm afraid of that, which is why I talk about adding a little, maybe some berries in, but I never do it. I'm afraid to do it. I don't want to do it. I work too hard to get it off it. Unless there's some pressing medical, physiological reason why I need to eat a little sugar, I'm not going to do it. I don't think there is. I think that I've got all the sugar that I need. I'm making it. I'm getting it in the eggs that I eat. I'm getting, 0.7 grams of carbs in an egg. So inadvertently, between the eggs and the meat I eat every day, I'm probably getting between 5 and 10 grams of carbohydrate. Why would I want to go out of my way to add any more than that? That's not enough to trigger carbohydrate addiction. And B says carbohydrate rehabilitation, also known as carnivore. True, B. Very true. Here's somebody named Health Studio. That's a great name, Health Studio. Sounds very healthy. Hi, Mitch from Ireland. RFK smart sometimes. If you can't beat them, you have to join them. RFK used his airtime yesterday to get an important message out. It might start a conversation. I agree. I think that it's definitely going to start a conversation. Whether that conversation is going to rise to the top of all conversations or just be party talk, one could hope. But again, I think that the most useful aspect of what happened yesterday for us in our community, people that are doing this now, people that are tired of being looked at as freaks of nature, now have something to point to and say, it's not crazy. Didn't you hear RFK's speech about the biggest health problem the human race faces in the world is caused by bad nutrition? Didn't you listen to that? Didn't you understand what he was talking about? He was talking about you, a sugar addict, living on donuts and Coca-Cola, having diabetes and weighing 350 pounds. And if you've ever wondered, you won't believe me when I tell you, so why don't you believe somebody a little more famous, and higher up. And that's what we can use it for, just to add a little credibility. Whether things are going to change or not, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. Too many things are cemented in, too much of our economy, too much of the way we live, too much of our entertainment, our parties, too much of how we stay alive. I mean, sugar may not be the ideal food, but it does keep you alive. That was its original use by humans, was survival food. We just decided that we become so addicted to it, we're going to survive on it solely. And we just can't keep doing that. It's too destructive. Sugar does too much damage to the body. Oh, where was I? Carnivore, Terry V, Boyd, Lamb, anybody new? Naruto Kun is here. Hi, Naruto. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Ellen showed up. Hi, Ellen. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. I love to hear your comments. Thursday night, want to hear you. We'll be talking about RFK. Maybe some more, something more will have come of it by then. I can't wait. I mean, I know we're going to start seeing all the pushback to it. You don't think, nobody can actually think that Coca-Cola, Nestle, Pfizer, that all of these huge companies are going to sit still and let Robert Kennedy guide the government's association and lawmaking in regards to their business? No. Government equals corruption. Trying to break that connection is, I don't think possible. I don't think it's possible. Okay, BMAT is here. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. I'm still trying to. Here is newsflash. Elections are selections. Well, yes, they are. They are selections. It's been said, however, that the voters don't decide the election. It's the people that count the votes that decide the election. That's how it's done in a third world country. Grandma Prepper, how you doing? Carnivore, 111 days. Good for you. Good for you. You are pretty much over the hump. Hang in there. Keep it up. It'll get easier and easier from here on out. You've been through the hardest part. Don't let them talk you into, well, just have this piece of birthday cake. It's my birthday. You know, it won't hurt you. Don't let them talk you into that. It's easy. Less junk, more health says hi. How you doing? And Pamela Suarez. How you doing, Pamela? BV, is that BVI? British Virgin Islands. God, you've been getting some weather down there. Stay safe. Stay safe. Beautiful place, though. God, I love it. Beautiful place. Been there many, many times. Ellen, you are pretty enough. Just need good hair and makeup team. What the hell can they do? What the hell can they do with this? I mean, what are they going to do? Put a powder puff on my head? Going to put a wig on me? Come on, Ellen. This is as pretty as it gets. I'm just not destined to be a big star. I've got too many quirks. I alienate people too easily, I'm sure. Speaking of alienating people, I've gotten some emails and seen some comments, because I still do read your comments, even though I don't interact. And I do answer one once in a while. or thank somebody for something really nice. I've been hearing people saying that your videos stopped showing up in my feed, and I found I was unsubscribed. YouTube has a habit of doing that. I must lose 10 to 15 subscribers a day. I can't believe that many people don't like me and actually hit the unsubscribe button. People very rarely do that. So check. Next time you watch one of my videos, just go look. I don't know if that notification bell does any good or not. I'm inclined to think it's useless. But check to see if they didn't unsubscribe you. Now, if we're a conspiracy theorist, we might think that it is a big conspiracy. I think when I look at the view counts, not only of my videos, that they are going down for everybody. That Sean Baker's podcasts are getting fewer and fewer views. That most of the influencers in the keto and carnivore space are not getting the huge numbers. But other channels in other genres are still getting 60,000, 150,000, 750,000 views. When one of my videos struggles to get up to 1,000 views. Now, 1,000 views is still a lot of views, but it's not enough views to make a successful YouTube channel out of. YouTube pays me less than $4 for 1,000 views. You can do the math yourself. You want to know how much YouTube is paying me? Take a look and see how many views I got on the videos I put out on a given day, and you can pretty well tell how much money I made. Yesterday, I put out 3 videos. I had a total of about 4,000 views across all 3 of those videos. So I made about $12 to $14 for a day's work putting out 3 videos. Didn't used to be that way. And I think that even though it sounds conspiratorial, I really think that the algorithm that they have, because of their relationship with the World Health Organization, is throttling us. It's not presenting our videos to new people and missing a lot of our subscribers, not putting our videos in their recommended feed. So you can always go to your subscription feed where my videos will always show up. But maybe they don't come into your recommended feed. I don't know. I can't fight it. I can't change YouTube. And YouTube is the only game in town. There are other platforms. They don't have the reach or the audience. I've been on Rumble for 7 or 8 months now. I have over 100 of my videos uploaded on Rumble. My total income on Rumble is less than $4. No, I'm serious. Less than $4 for 8 months being on Rumble. It is not a viable option. It might be if you're in politics, if your name is Steven Crowder, but he makes his money because he's behind a paywall with his mug club. That's how people, and Rumble's a great platform, and they don't play these games, but they don't have the viewers. They don't have the stuff. It's not viable. We have to be stuck with YouTube, and we hope, like everybody else, that down the road they'll fix some of this nonsense. But until then, we plod along and just keep doing what we do because I am making a little bit of money, mostly from my Amazon links, which I hate to even talk about because I don't want to appear too mercenary, but that's where my income's coming from, being Old Guy Carnivore. So I'll give you that little shameless plug here. Everything, and I have to mention it, and I do mention it in every one of my cooking videos, but I don't mention it in any other videos. I don't talk about it. I don't run advertisements about it. But in a cooking video, I made a little less than 1 minute, almost like a little commercial about my Amazon thing. And I'm going to continue to run that because people enjoy it. People use these links and get some of this stuff that I use, and they like that. And while they're there, they buy other things, which I get credit for too, and it really helps me out. So there's another shameless plug, oldguycarnivore.com, links to stuff I use. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If you've never seen it, I'm going to show it to you right here. This is my website, oldguycarnivore.com. And what you do, up here is the menu, homepage, Carnivore Basics. Carnivore Basics is a great little short description of what's important in carnivore and could be very helpful to you. There's some pictures of me with my shirt off for you girls. There's a picture of me when I call that Big Mitch. There's a quick start guide here, a nice section, Carnivore Basics. Here I let you off the hook telling you about carb addiction, and it's not your fault that you've been unsuccessful. I think just that one blurb, that one page is very useful information, and it's on my website. Then I have a page called Links to Stuff I Use Every Day, and it has different sections, which just jump to different places on the page. So we have t-shirts and supplements and food and pantry staples. So let's just go down to supplements here. And these are the different supplements I take. There's the iodine. These are the different things I use to mix my electrolyte mix. I've got a couple of commercial electrolyte supplements, the vitamin D3 pills that I take. This is the stuff that I use, and you know that it works. And then we have a seasoning that I use, grass-fed ghee, the pork rind crumbs, Redmond real salt, the Himalayan pink salt, the Malden smoked salt, Wild Planet anchovies, and Wild Planet wild-caught pink salmon that I use. Get these all from Amazon. They're great. I make salmon patties out of this stuff. Then there's this, because they put them on special, although the price is up now, it'll come down again. The backup power supply, the backup battery that I have, and the solar panel to keep my freezer going. We have a storm. My new smoker, my fancy cutting board and knife that I eat steak off of that makes me feel like a primal warrior. My sous vide immersion circulator, and the container and rack that come with it. Even a silicone bag to sous vide things in. My meat grinder, screen, the different frying pans that I use, the gadgets, the thermometers, the bacon grease catcher, the appliances, the air fryers, the vacuum sealers, the bags, even my water bottle, all that stuff. T-shirts that you've seen me wear, they're not even my T-shirts, but people kept asking me, where do I get them? So I put some Amazon links in for them. Even the cameras. So many people want to know how I do this. I put them in there. So that, and my gym equipment that I use. So that page is a resource, and it helps me because YouTube, believe me, until you're a big YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of subscribers getting 100,000, 200,000, a million views on each video, you're not going to make a big living. You're going to just make fun money. Don't get me wrong, I don't turn it down, but it's a lot of work for the money. Anyway, I hope you didn't mind me going over that. Most of the people who use those things appreciate them. And I don't know if I lost half of my audience because I just did that, but so be it. So be it. Thank you for indulging me. Where was I? Scooby was telling me I'm pretty. Sherry Morgan is here. Hi, Sherry. How you doing? We're talking to each other. And, oh, beard and meat. I like that. Howdy, howdy, he says. Okay. Bella Vista Farms, North Carolina. How you doing? I think my coffee cup is empty. It's time to dig into the San Pellegrino here. Let me go and look for some questions in the chat and see if I can find some. So we will look for QQQ. I know there's some QQQs in there somewhere. Q, Q, Q. There we go. Okay, we have Carnivorous Meat Eaters says, how do you take care of your carbon steel frying pan? I season it once in a while. And I season it, I use grapeseed oil. And before you have a hissy fit about it being seed oils, you're not eating the oil that you season your pan with. It's polymerizing onto the steel, making a coating. And it's not going to hurt you. But these oils make the best coatings. I tried using animal fats. They do not polymerize like the seed oils. And grapeseed oil is the best one that I've found. So I use grapeseed oil. I take, to season the pan, I just put it on, turn on the burner, let it get hot. I have it in a little squirt bottle, squirt a little oil in the bottom, take a rag, wipe it around inside, make sure it's a thick enough rag where you don't burn your hand, and wait till it starts to smoke, and then turn the burner off. And just leave the pan sit there on the hot burner, let it all cool down together. If it's a brand new pan, do that 3 or 4 times, and you will have a well-seasoned pan that'll be almost non-stick. Most of the time, I can just wipe that pan out after searing a steak with a paper towel. But occasionally, I have to use a chainmail scrubber, and you don't push real hard on that. You just kind of rub it back and forth over the rough spots, and it knocks them down. And if I have taken off some seasoning, then I'll just stick the pan, you know, it's been in the water. It's a good idea once you wet these steel pans to heat them up. Make sure they get good and dry, because they can rust. So you put it on you heat it up, squirt a little oil in there, spread the oil around, wait till it smokes, turn it off, just let it cool, and it's ready for the next time. It's the easiest thing in the world. And they last a lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 5 lifetimes. There are people out there that have carbon steel and cast iron pans from their great-great-great-grandparents who used to use them on the wagon train on a campfire. So, Sherry Morgan, thank you so much. Do you think most doctors are doing what they think is best from what they learn in school, well-meaning, not trying to sabotage their patients on purpose? I think doctors today are between a rock and a hard place. I think that the controls on them through all of the licensing agencies, the fact that they get all of their continued education from drug reps, the fact that they get bonuses and spiffs for prescribing certain drugs, the fact that, for example, the insurance companies are looking over their shoulder and flagging them if they don't prescribe a statin for somebody who has an LDL over a certain number. So here you are, you're trying to be a doctor, and you can't practice medicine. You can only do what the computer tells you to do. You're a robot. And if you don't do what they tell you to do, you get brought up before some committee who can take your license away, and that's your living. And since you just spent 12 years of your life getting educated, you don't want to give it up because you're that worried about your patients. So you have to do one of two things. You have to continue to be inserted into the matrix of the medical system and do what you're told and make a fortune and get wined and dined by the drug companies and do the best you can for your patients and try not to take it too personally when they keep getting sicker. Or you can be Ken Berry, who has an epiphany one day and says, what the hell am I doing? I'm hurting people. That's not why I signed on. Unfortunately, it's 99-1 the other way. So I think most doctors, I know my doctor, who's not a doctor, she's a nurse practitioner, which is almost a doctor. She's a doctor without the ego or the income. But she can write prescriptions, and she's at the VA, and the computer pretty much tells her everything and what to do. And she is required to keep her job to follow the recommendations of the computer. And the computer tells her to recommend a statin to me, and she does. But she's realistic enough to know that I'm not going to listen, but at least she can type in to the computer, recommended statin to the patient, patient refused. And she's covered. And if the doctors had more than 5 minutes to spend with you as a patient, maybe they would actually learn something about statins and cholesterol and how it all works and let you make an educated decision about whether to just blindly follow their directions on taking a statin. Most doctors have egos as big as the outdoors. And that doesn't allow them to give their patients any benefit of the doubt for actually having some intelligence and maybe knowing something. But my doctor knows that I know more than she does. So I get a lot of respect when I go in there. And I pretty much play doctor. I tell her what tests to order. I diagnose myself. And if I need some treatment or something, I will ask for it. If I think I need a CT scan because I had kidney stones all my life and I want to see how they're progressing, I'll ask her, can I have a CT scan? I wanted to know what my testosterone level was. I said, order me a testosterone test, because they wouldn't normally do that. So yes, it's sad. It's sad. And the best that we can do is find a doctor that respects our intelligence and can spend enough time with us to become a partner with us in our own health care, not just an extension of a computer. It's tough to find these days. And the sicker people get, and the more and more people keep clogging up the healthcare system, the harder it is for us to even get any time at all with these doctors or laboratories. And we become a system like these nationalized healthcare systems where if you need surgery, you make an appointment for 2 years down the road. Unfortunately, unless it's an emergency, that's what happens. That's what happens. Hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sherry. Appreciate it. Okay, there was a question about how I take care of my carbon steel pan. And I have another question. Do you think social media raises cortisol, and do you think that activates our insulin? That's an interesting question. There's still a debate about whether cortisol is really all that bad. It is a necessary hormone. We do need it. I'm not all that up I don't dwell on cortisol. Don't spend a lot of time on it. I don't care about it. There's nothing I can do other than meditate. And I'm not that kind of person. So I've pretty well accepted the fact that I'm passionate about things, and I'm going to get a little stressed now and then. And the best way for me to deal with stress is to blow it off. Rant. Just get it out of my system. Don't keep it in. And as far as insulin goes, I don't think cortisol is raising my insulin. I think my insulin is just fine. My metabolic health is great. I think sugar is what's really going to raise your insulin. And once you completely get off the sugar, and you've been off the sugar for a while, then maybe I think start worrying about these other things. Now, that may have been the worst answer to a question I ever gave, and I apologize. It's just not something that I'm really interested in or that I think about. There is so much to human physiology, and there are so many things that really are relative to what we talk about, that some of these little offshoots, there are people who devote as a specialty their whole practice to those kind of things. And that's why general practitioners these days, you don't see them too often. You see specialists for everything now. Everything's gotten way too complicated. Oh, Nelson Vasquez is here. How you doing, Nelson? Good to see you, my friend. Hello, Mitch. I went to Brazilian Steakhouse in Melbourne to break a 76-hour fast. Good for you. Give me a call, man. You got my number. I will meet you there one day for lunch or dinner. Either way. Either way, I know you're practicing medicine here in Melbourne 2 days a week. Get in touch with me. Don't make me come looking for you, young man. Okay? Okay? But good to see you. I hope you're still in here. I didn't know how long ago you put that in there, but yeah, I really enjoyed that restaurant. I definitely plan to go back. And we've got we have got So What Lulu. Wow, that all blends together. So What Lulu. Thank you so much for a super sticker. Thank you. Much appreciated, Lulu. Just want to make sure that I acknowledge that. I imagine your name is Lulu. It says so twice in your handle there. Say let's look for some more questions in the chat. We have Marchina. Question: anyone knows about 6 months on carnivore and getting liver markers going up? Which markers? I think that's not a question that I, in my wheelhouse, can answer. Talking about individual blood test results and things like that, I can't do that. I know a little bit about that stuff. Generally, I think that if you stick to carnivore and you do it right, I don't see how it can hurt your liver. Maybe something else is damaged, maybe something's broken. But after 6 months on carnivore, things ought to be settling down. That's not my wheelhouse, unfortunately. I wish I could answer that question for you, but I can't, primarily because I don't know any of the particulars about what markers you're talking about and what levels you're talking about. So as a general term, I would just be taking a guess, and I don't want to mislead you in any way. And I'm not a doctor, as my disclaimer so eloquently states. But thank you for asking. Sherry Morgan says, question, have you tried the Teton grass-fed hot dogs sold at Costco? Your panko corn dog sounds yummy. The last time I was in Costco, I looked at every hot dog they had, and this was 6 months ago. I haven't been in Costco in 6 months. I let my membership lapse because I buy everything at Sam's Club. And every couple of months, I go to the hot dog refrigerator and I look at the ingredients on every hot dog looking for that. I was told that Sprouts, the store Sprouts, we've got one about 6 or 7 miles from me, has a grass-fed all-beef hot dog with no crap in it. I need to go look at that. But I didn't know that Costco had something, and you're calling it the Teton grass-fed hot dogs. I need to go renew my Costco membership because I use their eyeglass department there, and I'm getting on to towards the end of the year when it's getting to be time for me to get a new prescription. My eyes are actually getting better. The longer I'm on Carnivore, the better my vision is becoming. It's incredible. And my glasses become too strong. About once a year I go and I get new ones with a little weaker prescription, which ain't bad. Works great. So I'll look for them. Teton grass-fed hot dogs at Costco. Thank you for that tip. Appreciate it. And have you tried adding egg white protein powder, pork panko, and beef gelatin powder for breading? Tastes better than the real flour-based breading. No, I haven't tried that. Sherry, I haven't tried that. It's not my style. I try to simplify things using fewer and fewer different ingredients. And I know there's a billion recipes out there that use all kinds of stuff. And I just don't go there. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I mean, this may be the answer to everybody's prayers. But I see no reason to have anything to do with egg white protein powder when I eat 5 or 6 eggs every day. I'm certainly getting plenty of egg protein, and I don't buy beef gelatin powder or anything like that. I just don't buy spices, condiments, nothing. I have not. My whole cabinet and refrigerator are empty. So somebody might want to try that. Thank you so much for the suggestion. McCracker says, I subscribe to a memes guy, and a lot of comments complain YouTube unsubscribed them. Yes, it's very common. It's not just me, and it's not just our genre. It was happening to people in the drone field as well. I just saw another question here, and it went away. Where is it? CB Carmack says, did you know Buffalo Wild Wings cooks their chicken wings in beef tallow? I didn't know that. That's good to know. How do they get away with that? I'm surprised the food police haven't arrested them for murder or attempted murder, frying something in tallow. As long as they don't put other crap in it and don't put too much sugar in the sauce, I guess that's great, but it sounds like an option. Stephen Albeck is also here. Saw a doctor response to Livicare on YouTube. All indication is that carnivore helps the liver. Yeah, that's what everybody says. It certainly reverses fatty liver, which is one of the major liver problems. It comes right before cirrhosis and mimics what alcohol does to your liver. And that comes from fructose, pretty much primarily from eating too much fructose. And the kids today, I think Kennedy said that. He said it was a very high percentage of children have fatty liver disease. They're 10 years old, 12 years old, and they have fatty liver disease already. What kind of life are these kids going to have? Are they going to be dead at 40 or needing liver transplants at 40? It's crazy. Satya Kalsa says they're called Teton Polish sausages. Okay. Teton's Polish sausages. All right. I will remember that. I'll remember that. And let's see what else I got here. We're back to the first one about how do I take care of my frying pan. Is olive oil, Carolyn loves Elvis Forever, is olive oil good for you? My husband eats a tablespoon every day. Depends on who you ask, I suppose. There are a lot of people who recommend that you actually use olive oil. Every vegan on the planet is telling you to use olive oil or drink some olive oil every day. There are people in the carnivore community telling you to take coconut oil or MCT oil or some other monounsaturated fat. I don't think it would hurt you. I don't know what the benefits could be. I don't do it. Never looked into it. I can't see myself drinking olive oil. If I was going to be drinking anything, a teaspoonful a day, it'd probably be cod liver oil, because I think that might have a lot more nutritional benefits, but vitamins and things in it than the olive oil does. And one of the problems with olive oil is that most of the stuff in the stores is garbage. They've done many exposés about the olive oil business and how they pollute this olive oil with all kinds of other crap. And to get pure, absolutely pure, 100% virgin olive oil, you got to know your stuff. There's a billion different brands. They've turned it into something like the wine industry. They have crops. They have years. They came up with all these fancy bottles with fancy labels and give it fancy names. It's friggin' olive oil. They've turned it into a snob thing. They have stores now, franchises, dedicated to selling nothing but olive oil. It's crazy. I can't imagine trying to make a living in a business like that. You got to charge enormous money to cover your business overhead, your inventory, your taxes, just the electric bill and air conditioning in your store. How much olive oil can you sell? That's how misled people are. It's crazy. It's crazy. And how do you know that they're not sneaking a bunch of corn oil or canola oil or grapeseed oil or rapeseed oil or any of these other seed oils, industrial oils, diluting at 20%, 30%? Yeah, there's going to be some real olive oil in there. So I don't want to get involved in that crap. I got enough to worry about. I get ripped off too many different ways than to worry about trying to take something for my health and end up drinking the shit that I'm trying to give up. So I hope that wasn't too long an answer to a short question, but that's the olive oil deal. And then, how's your husband doing? Carolyn, is your husband thin and healthy? Is he metabolically healthy? Is he, if the olive oil isn't hurting him and he likes it, I don't see any reason why not. Because it is fat, that's for sure. It's not a bad fat, and most people don't eat enough fat. So in that respect, maybe a tablespoon of olive oil a day would be good for you, because it'll get your fat intake up a little bit. Next question, if I can find one. Anyone knows 6 months ago, the liver markers, did that one. You tried the Teton? Yes, we got that one. Protein powder. And B says, you need a shameless shirt. Come watch me rumble with your rumble information. Yeah. Yeah, B. I need a lot of things. Jerry Vodstush, you're very welcome. He said, thanks for sharing the links to stuff you use. My pleasure. My pleasure. Carnivore candy. Carnivore candy, I have not monetized yet, so I totally get it. Well, you're new. I have not seen you before, and welcome. Welcome. I'm going to have to check out your channel. Good to see you. And next, got the Wild Wings. So that seems to be all the questions. Let me get down to the lower part of the chat. And we're back to the hot dog question, egg white powder. I need a shameless shirt. Doctor says liver carnivore's good. Here we go. Trucking Carnivore says, did you do a salmon patty video? If not, I need your recipe. Yes, yes, I did. And let me go here on YouTube and search for it. Let me go into my YouTube studio and go into videos and type salmon. And here it is. So I will click on that. I will click on the link. I will go to the chat and I will put the link in. Salmon patty video. So copy that link out of the chat, and that is. And it says on the, the thumbnail, healthy, question mark, LOL. And the title of the video is Delicious Carnivore Fried Wild-Caught Salmon Cakes. So simple to make. So simple to make. So there you go. There you go. That was easy. And that was the last question in the chat. It is 4:30. God, time really flies. Here we go. Keto Carny Cajun. Keto Carny Cajun. Wow. That's a lot of different concepts all wrapped up into one word. Welcome. Thoughts on cheese? Never see you indulge. You're absolutely correct. As Seinfeld used to say, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not a cheese guy. Never have been. Never have been. The only cheese I ate most of my life, other than what comes on mozzarella, what comes on pizza, was Swiss cheese. I never liked, and yet, I say I never liked cheese, but I was addicted to Cheez-It crackers, to anything cheese flavored that had grains and crackers in the name. I was addicted, but to just eat cheese for some reason, I never got started. I was a very strange and fussy eater as a child. And I never could eat any cheesy, gooey stuff. It took a long time before I even got up the nerve to eat a pizza. But no, I'm not a cheese person, but there's nothing wrong with cheese if you can tolerate the dairy, and some cheeses have casomorphines in them. It's a protein that's addictive. And you can fall into that trap where you say, well, I'm just going to have some hard cheese once a week. Next thing you know, you're eating a half a pound of it every day. And too much of it is going to be too much fat, and it's just not that good for you. But in moderation, I hate that word, but if you can handle it and not suffer from cheese creep, cheese creep, like carb creep, go for it, but go for high-fat cheeses, not the skim cheeses, because they have a lot of lactose in them. They have the milk in them. So high-fat cheeses, cheddar, things like that, probably great. My philosophy is, if I have no desire to eat it, why do I want to start adding foods? I don't really need the variety. I find my variety in just finding different ways to cook the same basic foods that I eat, and I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied with that. That's what's happened to me in 2 years. I've lost that buffet mentality. Does nothing for me. So I hope that answered your question. Mary, thank you so much. Mitch, thank you for all your videos, she says. Mary Endersby, thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. Very, very thoughtful of you. And you're very welcome. And I see another question here. Actually, I'm at the bottom of that chat, so I can actually put them up on the screen. Question, it's my wife's markers, ALT, AST, AOP, and GGT. Just want to know if anyone knew some case with it, your opinion, you have knowledge on our biological functions. That's still not an area, sorry about that, but that's not an area of expertise of mine. If I was a doctor, I might be able to talk a little more intelligently about it, but I tend to focus on the things first that affect me and branch out from there. And I've never had any. I did have fatty liver, but they went away. But I'm not qualified. And I will always admit that I am just, it's not my wheelhouse. You want to talk about lipids, you want to talk about cholesterol, you want to talk about metabolism. I know that stuff inside, outside, and backwards. But I'm not a liver guy. So, sorry. But thanks for asking. Thanks for asking the question. Never hurts to ask. Stephen, fish cakes are good with any leftover flake fish, chop up shrimp, awesome. Yeah, Stephen is a chef. Stephen happens to be a chef. Listen, when Stephen gives you culinary advice, listen, you can make fish cakes with anything. You can mix up fishes. You can use tuna. You can make tuna patties. The only thing people usually do that we don't do, and some people might do it anyway, is we chop up some onions and other things, peppers, like with a crab cake, act as a filler. Or we use some kind of a breadcrumbs or something else, which we don't do in carnivore. We use the pork rind crumbs and egg as a binder and filler for the salmon cakes or the tuna cakes, and fry them in bacon grease until they're really nice and brown and crispy on the outside. You don't coat them with the pork rind crumbs. You do kind of like a meatloaf. You squish it up in there to one 15-ounce can of this stuff, which for me is a meal. Makes 4 big salmon patties. I put 2 eggs and about a half a cup of pork rind crumbs. And I load up about a ½ inch of bacon grease in the frying pan, heat it up to around 375, set those puppies in there, let them sit 8-10 minutes aside, flip them over. They get really crunchy on the outside, but they stay very moist and tasty on the inside. And you will love them. You will love them. They are great. I got it on my mind now. I'm probably going to have to make them soon. Probably going to have to make them soon. So fish cakes are good. Any more questions? I want to talk about smoking salmon in our new smoker. Lynn, I need to do that too. I got this new smoker, and I've been so busy and preoccupied with so many other things that I've kind of ignored it. I need to. I got a couple of racks of baby back ribs in the freezer that I want to try. Last time I pre-cooked them in the oven and then finished them in the smoker. I want to smoke them start to finish. Come up with a way to get the timing right and get them to come out good. Because when I do things like that, I don't use any rubs or sauces. I just use some smoked salt. And that means that I have to figure out a way to bring out the natural flavors of the meat, because that's the flavors that I'm going to end up with. And I do want that smoky flavor. I've pretty well decided. I bought a couple different kinds of wood. I bought some hickory and I bought some apple wood. And I already learned that the apple wood is the preferred wood when you're smoking pork, and that the hickory is probably better for beef. So I'm going to use the apple wood. I'm going to put it in the smoker dry. I'm not going to soak it first. It's another tip that I finally gleaned from trying to get an education in how to be a smoker of meats. And I was thinking about tomorrow's Sunday, maybe doing that tomorrow. Just to I got all day. Well, I always have all day. Experiment with it. Keep checking on it. I think it probably should take 4 or 5 hours at maybe 250 degrees. And make myself some ribs, because I've eaten up all the pre-cooked half slabs of ribs that I had that just needed to be finished. So I'm back down now to a couple of packages of frozen ribs that haven't been cooked at all yet. One of them is actually spare ribs, which are the bigger ribs, and the other is the baby back ribs. And I think I'm going to do the baby back ribs. And Tom says, "Are you going to do more stuff in your smoker?" Yes, I am. Oh, Tom then says, "Never mind." CB says, use the 3-2-1 method. 3 hours open, 2 hours wrapped in foil, and turn the smoker off while wrapped to cool in the smoker for an hour. I've heard about that. And then I watched 5 or 10 videos that say, try this method, much better than the 3-2-1 method. There are so many methods, so many different ways to smoke ribs. It's crazy. But most of those different methods rely heavily on the rubs and the sauces to create a bark and to add the flavor, So Mama Cracker asks a question here. The burning question. I don't have any idea what you mean by it, but I'm going to let everybody see it. That's not it. Where is it? Mama Cracker. Here it is. What is the airspeed velocity of an unloaded swallow? Okay, just kidding. I'm not going to answer that. And Marcina said, I would love to watch a live of you North Americans talking about what are your thoughts on your election. No, you wouldn't. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. It's like Sky News Australia is a channel in Australia that is definitely a conservative-leaning channel, and they tear the Democrats in this country a new one on a regular basis every day. And because I watch one of their videos occasionally, my feed is always stocked up with that stuff. And I say to myself, why do I have to get my news on U.S. politics from some Australian? But that seems to be the way it goes. It's just a mess like everywhere else. And Australians, when you talk about messed up politics, I know some people in Australia and the stuff they tell me curls. If I had hair, it would curl my hair. But CB Carmack says, we need the gal who wants to ban red meat. Joke. Yes. Yes, she is. It's crazy. It's crazy. But we need to save the planet because we all know that cows are causing all the hurricanes that we're having now. Isn't it amazing what they can get people to believe? The crap that humans won't believe. Even when reality and the answer is right in their face, they will always, it seems, believe the most unbelievable of the options that they have. And you've all heard of this, and we remember it from the movie Contact, something called Occam's razor. And that says the simple and most obvious answer is most likely the correct one. We do exactly the opposite. The wilder and more unbelievable something is, the easier we are conned into believing it. On my cell phone, when I swipe to the left of the home screen, I end up and I can turn it off, but sometimes out of sheer morbid curiosity, I leave it on. Anyway, if I swipe over to this page, I get this screen with news. And today, well, the first article says, no needles necessary. This wearable can track your cholesterol and lactate levels. That's the first thing that comes up on this feed. It's from Google. See, it says Google at the top. Let me read that again. No needles necessary. This wearable can track your cholesterol and lactate levels. No, it's useless. Cholesterol. Why would I need to track my cholesterol levels? What could I possibly do to affect them other than stop eating fat and meat or eat more sugar? Seems to lower cholesterol. What an absurd thought. What an absurd concept. Why do I need an instantaneous monitoring of that? It's crazy. Does that device measure the fat jiggle, says Tom? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Then we got the story about those two poor astronauts that are stuck up on the space station for another 5 months because their ride home broke, because it never should have been launched in the first place. And it's official. Scientists confirmed what's inside the moon. I can sleep well tonight. That's the burning question that's always on my mind. But the stuff we're bombarded with. And I saw, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I saw an article and it said some miracle supplement that I never heard of. A miracle supplement fixes, and they listed every health condition known to man. All you need to do, and this was not an advertisement, this was an article. You need to buy this miracle supplement, whatever it was. And earlier today, I saw that article about the fact that a study just released in England of 57 people proved that keto diet does cause heart attacks, strokes, and screws up your digestive tract because it kills your gut biome, which you need, which you don't get because you're not eating fiber, supposedly, or a lot of fiber on a keto diet. All just bullshit, all erroneous information coming from an agendized and conflicted study with predetermined results that they tried to fashion the study to make sure it showed what they wanted to show, probably paid for by some food company. And that makes news. That's the headlines on CNN, MSNBC. It is sick and sad, and it's a shame. Because, like I said before, we don't know normal people who don't live in this wheelhouse of information, of nutritional concerns. We don't know who to believe. If they happen to wander and come up upon one of my little podcasts or blogs, they're going to say, Martha, come quick, listen to this guy. This guy is out of his friggin' mind. He's saying we shouldn't eat fruits and vegetables. He's saying we shouldn't be eating sugars. He's saying all we should be eating is fat and meat. This guy is going to kill people with advice like that. Everybody knows that that's wrong. Everybody knows that meat causes heart attacks and cancer and diabetes and strokes and everything else. And the cows, Martha, the cows are killing our planet. We need to do away with those cows. Everybody knows that. And listen to this guy. That's what they think. How could I expect them to think any different than that? That's what's been hammered into their reality for the past 60, 70, 80 years. So yes, it's not going to be easy to change people's mind. It's a paradigm shift. And if you know what a paradigm shift is, that's a big thing. A paradigm shift means everything changes to some new way of doing it or thinking about it. So, Donna from Australia, net zero is the biggest scam ever. Yes, there's scams everywhere, everywhere. That zero sugar thing, also companies. Lynn Williams says, run test SAD eaters. I listen to Kennedy, sounds like me. CB Car, yeah. Listen, that's why I love coming on live. I love being amongst you guys. I love reading your comments. Of the hundreds of millions of people in this country, I've managed to find 137 of you that have some intelligence and common sense and a sense of reality. It's a small band of us, but a very exclusive one. And I guess we're going to let RFK in. Anyway, guys, coming up on 2 hours since I says I've been live for 1 hour, 58 minutes and 30 seconds. I guess that includes my 5-minute intro. And not once during that have I shown you my new side camera that's now a permanent fixture in my studio. I was using my one of the cameras I used to film my videos, but I went ahead and actually got another webcam, and it's sitting right on top of a monitor off to my side, so I don't have to set it up and take it down every time I do one of these things. And now I can play my broadcaster tricks and talk to you, and then I can say, and now back to you, and I think that's really cool. Always looking to be more professional. So, my friends, I think, nice setup, Mitch, says Tom, yes. And I have a rear camera as well. I have a rear camera, I have my side camera, I have my front camera, And that's enough cameras for one guy. And I have my switcher box, which is right here with buttons. And I can just push these buttons. I can show you what's on my screens. I can show you those views. Pretty cool. I like buttons. I like gadgets. I got my mixer. I can bring in my exit music. There we go. So we're going to call it a day, my friends. It's 5 o'clock here. Time for my second meal, although I'm not hungry at all. When you see on the video that's coming out, it'll come out tomorrow, what I ate for my first meal of the day, you will wonder how I could have eaten anything. And I'm at that point right now. I am so far from hungry, I'm not even thinking about food. This may have become an OMAD day. But thank you all for coming. Thanks, everybody. Had a nice turnout today. You all still hanging in there. 136 of you still here. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time too. So, you know the drill. We're done now. I'll be back Tuesday night with my live stream, and I'll be putting out a couple videos between now and then. I'm not going to put out a morning coffee one on Sunday morning, but I'll be back on Monday morning with my combination morning coffee and maybe even a little ranting thrown in, because you seem to be used to Monday morning. I enjoy doing those morning things. Not a lot of editing. It's pretty easy to do. As long as I keep having something to say, I'll keep doing it. No, more and more of you get in the habit of watching those things. They're not released at the best time for YouTube. They're released at a time where I don't have a huge number of viewers online, so they don't get off to a big start. And if they don't get off to a big start, YouTube doesn't push them out there, but that's not what it's for. It's for me to have a little morning show, so it's going to be in the morning, and I can usually get them out by 9 o'clock, hopefully no later than 9 o'clock in the morning, by the time I edit them and upload them. So until I see you tomorrow in the kitchen cooking all of that stuff that I cooked today and ate, you guys can take the rest of the day off and eat meat.